shutoff sensor, and that's probably why he's not moving. So it's that also would keep a car, lessen the chance of a car catching on fire in a situation like this. So it looks like at this point that he's not going anywhere. So eventually he's going to have to give up here.
Yeah, he's definitely not going anywhere. We still see him moving around in the car. I just saw maybe a bottle cap get thrown out, or that could have been the wind. Not really sure there. But we're just kind of keeping an eye on this suspect, and I keep seeing some activity there on the windshield, and I can't tell if that's leaves in the area or if deputies are actually firing less than lethal. Now that I see them walking away with one of those less than lethal devices, that might have been what we saw there. Again, that's to try and convince the suspect to have a reason to get out of the vehicle, maybe with tear gas or something of that nature. But he's still.
We're being told they're stun bags.
Stun bags, yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
And it probably made sense why he put the hoodie over his head too.
Right. Yeah, that would really make sense. It wouldn't be much help. He would still be impacted by them, but definitely LA County sheriffs using all the tools at their disposal to try and get the suspect to get out of the vehicle. And as we look at the car, there's a drone in the area too. I would venture to hope that is a drone launched by the county sheriffs. If a civilian is flying their drone around here, that is very dangerous, and that's definitely something that we don't want. But we have heard of, I'm not sure LA County Sheriff specifically has begun deploying drones for situations like this, but there you have it, a drone flying over the suspect vehicle in what is now a standoff here in the Diamond Bar area.
Well, that is certainly a new wrinkle, to say the least. We haven't seen that before. At least not in a pursuit situation like this. All right, again, this is a pursuit that started actually in front of a sheriff's station. It was a hit and run, and this driver took off. I believe we said it was a Chino, correct?
Chino in the beginning, yeah.
And it was a high-speed pursuit after this. A lot of reckless driving by this car. They tried several pit maneuvers because he was get to an intersection. He wasn't going to be stopped. He was squeezing between vehicles any way he could to get away from officers, but he finally got to this intersection and he rear-ended a car pretty hard. And at that point, it looked like his vehicle is disabled because maybe the fuel pump's been shut off. And now it's just a standoff. We know that they have fired at least one round of a stun bag in there, and now
and
it's
there
just
you
a
go,
waiting game.
another couple rounds there, being fired.
It's interesting. When we first came onto this, the driver was driving on the opposite side of the road, going in oncoming traffic, and right before we went on, we could see the video, and it was so tense because he
Here it is, right
barely
here.
missed.
No, we thought we were going to see several
right
times.
here.
You
You can see them head on. He misses that car, and then that huge white van, and then right there, I thought he was done there.
Well, to be in the far lane and come around a curve, wow. Cars coming the other way, they're not going to see him till the last second.
Yeah. And then at some point, besides all of that and hitting several other cars, including a deputy, he then almost T-boned, remember, with that truck that had the bed on the back. He was lucky there that it didn't go under the bed of that truck. But you can see just bumping people out of the way, damaging innocent drivers. At least he is stopped now, and he's not a danger to any drivers.
Now here's the big
one.
Where he squeezed through those two vehicles right here, which was unbelievable because there was clearly not enough space between those cars, and he didn't care. He just...
And then the undercover police officer you can see here merged right in. And shortly thereafter is where he had another rear-end situation, and that's what I think ultimately damaged his car.
Yeah, I think it's squeezing through cars right here.
He was going through, he hit them going 30 miles an hour probably.
And that's the car. That's the one that ended it right there.
Very dangerous situation for sure. And this is... I think we're lucky to have this pursuit end the way it did without a more serious accident.
Yeah.
I'm going to widen out the picture a little bit. Maybe we can see some of the cars that were involved in one of the very last accidents that kind of brought this pursuit to the end. And I don't see any emergency paramedics or anything like that tending to anyone in that area. So that's definitely good news. But the other good news is that those relatively minor crashes brought this pursuit to a stop, and now this suspect can't continue causing any harm to anybody else through the Diamond Bar area. And now this just becomes a standoff where LA County Sheriff's is going to use everything at their disposal to try and convince the suspect to get out of the car. We're hearing they're launching these non-lethal weapons into the vehicle once again to try and give the suspect a reason to get out of the car. Another note is that we did hear sheriff's deputies talking about the drone over this standoff scene as if they didn't put it there. So we're thinking now that drone may have been a civilian in the area just trying to get a peek of the situation. That's definitely not something you should do. That could just cause problems here with the investigation. And we do have an LA County Sheriff's deputy over the scene at a really low altitude, so that could also be a danger there.
Yeah, if you can get any closer, the two windows on the left side, the driver's side window and the back, you can see it's heavily damaged now from them shooting the stun bags in that direction. I guess ultimately they're hoping that it breaks the glass and then they can get something in there to force him out of the vehicle.
Yeah, and the next step here would probably be for the Sheriff's Department to get one of those armored vehicles out to the scene, or they're probably looking at different plans they have to get shields and get up close to the suspect to see if they can maybe coax him out of the car that way. But the best case scenario would be to probably get one of those armored vehicles here to the scene, get up close, and maybe from there pull the suspect out of the vehicle. Yeah. But at this point, it's just a standoff. This suspect has given no indication that he wants to get out of the vehicle or that he wants to end this anytime soon. And these are the ones that might go for some time here.
And, you know, really, if they're just using stun bags at this point, I mean, basically they shoot them out of a shotgun, and you know, it's breaking the windows. I don't know if any of those are actually hitting him. They're not lethal. Yeah. But you think at this point it would scare him enough to where he would want to get out of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and keep a little bit of a wide shot here because I haven't seen a lot of movement anymore from the suspect. I don't know if he's, you know, he might be just tired and trying to hide from deputies at this point, but I'm not seeing any movement from him, so that would lead me to believe that deputies may be seeing that, and they may want to maybe look at a couple other options here to get up close and see if they can look in the window and see what exactly is going on with this suspect.
He actually, as we mentioned earlier, might not be able to actually get out of the driver's side because that door is indented and the wheel is sort of inverted in. So he may have to go on the other side. But if he were willing to give up, which we see pursuit drivers sometimes, you know, they're like, okay, I'm caught, and they get down on the ground and they know what to do. This guy, if he wanted to, he could have gotten out of the passenger side door.
Well, actually, there's probably a lot of damage on that side, too, because he was squeezing between those vehicles the way he was. So it probably, the damage on the other side is very similar to what you see on the driver's side. But
just in general, if he wanted to get out and not be in a situation like this, he could roll the window down and say, you know, I give up. And now you see some looky-loos kind of coming around over there on the left-hand side of your screen. I'm not sure I would be standing around anywhere near this just in case something were to happen in terms of weapons. So it's always a dangerous situation to be near an investigation.
Yeah, you see some employees at the local restaurant here kind of checking things out, which, you know, it's fine if they kind of peek out and check things out, but you don't want to get close. I would venture to say that this person on the right side of the screen, and there's also a little bit of a bigger group here, people kind of shooting with their cell phones. That's a little bit too close for comfort, and I would maybe back up a little bit. But anytime this happens, you know, it piques people's interest, and they want to come out and check it out. And now with something like this, it's not something that is ending quickly. It's not something that sheriffs were able to get the suspect out and bring this to an end really quickly. This is now a standoff, so people are finding out about it on the news and on Twitter, and they're coming out to check it out, which we don't really want people to do. We want people to stay here and watch. We have the best seat in the house to kind of see what happens here, so that's definitely the best option.
And are we confirming that this ended now in Diamond Bar? Is that where we are located at this time?
Yeah, Diamond Bar Boulevard.
Okay.
Yeah, the information that we have is that this is still Diamond Bar. This is on the south side of the 60 freeway as I widen out the shot here, and I will put our Sky Map 5 view on and add the maps to that, so you can see the 60 freeway through that through your picture there, left, right, and then North Diamond Bar Boulevard, north to south. That gives you kind of an idea of where we are in the San Gabriel Valley, and this is causing a little bit of a traffic situation here, not necessarily to the freeway, but definitely to Diamond Bar Boulevard. You're not going to be able to get on the freeway north or south from there.
Yeah, in situations like this, if you're just joining us, the video on the right is from earlier, and you saw that first pit maneuver, and they tried it at least one other time for this vehicle that they were pursuing. And then the live images are on the left-hand side, essentially a standoff here with the driver still inside the vehicle and LA County Sheriff's deputies shooting the stun bags at that vehicle, trying to see. There is a little bit of movement, Gabe, with the driver.
Yeah, there is now.
He is moving a little bit now again. At some point, he's got to make a decision, because that front window is getting super honeycombed, and in fact, it could already be completely broken. We're going to be able to see him eventually.
Well, if they're shooting those stun bags into that driver's side window, then he's hurting a bit, to say the least.
You don't want that to go across your face.
It's definitely hard to say what condition the suspect is in right now. We also don't know if he's under the influence of anything, really. I mean, the way he was driving, you can imagine that might be something that is part of what's going on here. But yeah, the window is looking very damaged, as you were just saying, and it's going to be a matter of time where he'll just be able to jump out the window. If his door, we were talking about the door, it might be damaged to the point of not being able to open. But there are 4 other doors on this car that he could get out. But again, LA County Sheriff's taking no chances here. They don't know if this suspect is armed. I'm not sure if they were able to identify the suspect yet, since it was kind of a spur-of-the-moment pursuit, not something that they were following and then led to something else. It was multiple car accidents in the area that caused LA County Sheriff's to start this pursuit. So the information that they have to go off of as far as who this suspect is, what his history is, I'm definitely sure that they're working on it, but they may not have that information as of yet. So they have to take every precaution here, be very careful, and kind of stay out of the line of fire and stay as safe as they can be.
And eventually, obviously, they're doing negotiations, yelling back and forth if he can hear them, but definitely not getting close to the vehicle where they are right now. You're saying, in terms of a safety, for safety purposes, but they do sometimes bring the robot in, or I guess now in updated days, they're going to bring in the drone that has a camera that can get a little closer to look and see what's happening closer inside the vehicle.
I did see some movement behind the windshield there a couple of minutes ago, so he's still conscious. It's not like he's unconscious at this point, so should be fully aware. There you see a movement there, so he is fully aware of the situation, and it's just a waiting game at this point.
Yeah, we see the suspect. It even looks like he still has his seatbelt on, so at least he was following that rule. Okay. And he's moving around in the vehicle. He might be hurt. We don't know that for sure, but that's something that the Sheriff's Department is going to be taking into consideration here. But I'm betting the next step is going to try and bring in a armored vehicle or some other armored apparatus to try and get close and maybe talk to the suspect directly and convince him to give this up, so everyone can get on with their day.
All right, again, if you're just joining us, this is a pursuit that started in Chino. The red car there, which has sustained a lot of damage in this pursuit, was in an accident. Just happened to be in front of a sheriff's station. He did not stay at the scene. He took off. Sheriff's deputies were in pursuit. And now we are on Diamond Bar Boulevard, just short of the 60 freeway. And that's where it stands now. But between where this accident started and where we stand now, there was a lot of damage to a lot of other vehicles. This car driving at a high rate of speed would be forced to slow down at intersections and not even having any regard for the other drivers. He would just literally slam into other cars, squeeze between cars, push them out of his way, and
Drive
keep going.
opposite direction.
Was on the wrong side of the road and looked like he was going to have a head-on with a semi-truck. And he was way on the outside lane, and it was amazing that he managed to get back over because there were cars coming the other direction, and one of them almost plowed into him. And there you see, that's what I'm talking about, trying to squeeze between vehicles.
He did.
Yeah,
I mean, he was aggressive.
There was even a pit maneuver where he ended up in the other lane, almost caused an accident, but it was shortly after that when this finally came to an end. I think it's coming up to this next intersection here, as you see from earlier, where there was no place to go. And he just started, as you see here, he just went right between several vehicles until he finally plowed into the back of that silver car. And it looks like at that point, that's probably, there was enough damage where the fuel pump was shut off and all the other cars cleared out of the way except for the silver vehicle. And once the law enforcement came up behind him, the silver car moved out of the area. And that's where we sit now, probably for, at least the last 30 minutes.
For sure. It must have been so just jarring and upsetting for so many of the drivers, just going along their merry way, and this guy comes out of nowhere and bursts through the traffic, and then to rear end the silver vehicle. And if you were with us, you saw the silver vehicle. When someone rear ends you, you sit there and you wait because you're supposed to take the insurance and you're not supposed to move. And plus he could see the police or the law enforcement behind him. We thought maybe for a moment his vehicle was damaged, but he ended up moving forward and getting out of the way because, again, we don't know what the situation is with this driver. We don't know if he is armed and dangerous, or if he's under the influence, or if he is just being hard-headed and staying inside that vehicle. But definitely just super dangerous pursuit. All pursuits are dangerous, but this one, the rate of speed and the disregard for so many people's lives, running through red lights and going through intersections, just terrifying to watch. And as Gabe Santos, who's in Sky 5 right now, mentioned, it's a great way to see, and this is not ended, but at least he is not moving anymore. He is not a danger to other people.
All right, joining us on the phone again, we had to pull him out of retirement one more time.
I don't think it's going to be one more time.
This is the second time. Tim Lynn, can you hear us okay?
Gary, fine, Glenn.
Okay.
Once again, the 3 o'clocker, never say fails to be a good job.
Oh, thank you. Never a dull moment here in Southern California in the afternoons. So where do we stand now? They've shut the stun bags in there, but it doesn't seem to have helped at this point.
Well, as Gabe said, they're in the wait-and-see mode right now as time on their side, and they're going to sit back and wait and try to negotiate with the suspect. Now, what they're using those...
We may have lost Tim there.
Tim, you still there? Well, I think we lost our signal. We'll try to get Tim back on the line.
Well, and as what he was saying was, and when Tim's back, just let us know. He was saying that clearly they're trying to negotiate with him, and the driver has not been complying. So that's why they've been utilizing these stun bags, trying to get the driver to eventually give up. And as we mentioned earlier, they're non-lethal weapons or are non-lethal, and so it's basically just to stun you, essentially. But at some point, you got to give up.
No, it's basically a beanbag they're shooting.
Yeah, that does not feel good.
No, it's not lethal, but it certainly stings, that's for sure. All right, again, this is on Diamond Bar Boulevard, just off the 60 freeway. Actually, the 60 freeway is just in front of where this car is stopped right now. Tim, you back with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
All right, Tim. So you were talking, and we got cut off. You were saying that they clearly are trying to negotiate with this driver, and then you were mentioning a couple other things.
Yeah, they're using these stun bags, or those bean bags, as you just described, Glenn, to knock out the window so they can get visibility into the car. You notice they started on that left rear window first and then onto the driver window. They're not trying to hit him. They're just trying to knock the windows out to where they get visibility inside the vehicle. But the problem is the vehicle has tinted windows, which is that film on the inside of the windows, and that holds all that glass together. So you can see it kind of wiggling in the wind right there, right above the mirror. So that's holding that glass into place. So they've tried that a couple times. And sometimes when they do that, they're giving themselves the opportunity to be able to introduce some type of chemical agent, whether it's a pepper ball from some of the air guns they have, or an actual tear gas into the vehicle that kind of coaxed him out. But right now, they're in that wait-and-see mode. Right now, the time is on the officer's side, as Gabe has said earlier. And more than likely, they've already called the Special Enforcement Bureau, or the SEB is what the LA County Sheriff's calls their SWAT team, to come out with armored vehicles to surround the vehicle. And what they'll do is bring one in the front of the vehicle, head on with it, so they can look straight into the vehicle, and then one behind to keep him from moving. And at that point, then they start up close and personal negotiations through the ports that are on those armored vehicles that they use. But, this pursuit, it was something else. I mean, it was very violent during the way, and we keep talking about the different accidents along the way. Well, when he was forcing his way between the vehicles, that's actually assault with a deadly weapon, an intentional act, and not categorized as an accident. So all those vehicles that he struck, all those people he put into harm's way will be included charges on this suspect when this is all wrapped up in the end of the investigation. But right now, the sheriffs are going to do their best to clear out the area around. A lot of looky-loos around the area. They're trying to get out of the way, out of the line of fire should something happen. And that's their first priority right now, is to secure the scene. And going back to what Gabe showing, that drone working over the crash, or over the end here, very dangerous, because one, you have that, as he said, you have the LA County Sheriff's helicopter at about 300 feet keeping an eye on the suspect. Now he has to depart the area to get out of the way of that drone until they can get that out of the air. And the rules and regulations on drone is you're not allowed to fly them if you have aircraft in the area. So hopefully they found that person who was trying to get that social media moment for himself on that drone, and place them under arrest for endangering the officers in the helicopter. But right now, the Sheriff's Department's just got to sit back, call in additional resources to try to shut this thing down without harming that suspect or putting any deputies in harm's way.
Tim, do they still use, if this guy eventually never comes out or doesn't come out, do they typically still use the robot that can get up closer, or do you think they're close enough to be able to see what's going on?
Well, right now they're close enough to see what's going on, but as I said earlier, the Bearcats, or the armored vehicles they bring in, they can pull right up on him and look through the windows of the Bearcat, because they are bullet-resistant glass in the Bearcat, to where they can look in and directly talk to the guy. I mean, with the PA system, or just out of the ports that are on either side. And I've seen them at one point come up with a Bearcat and then strap a tear gas canister onto a pike pole and just jam it through the window and introduce tear gas into the vehicle. So there's multiple ways that they could do that. I've seen the robots come up and just simply open the door. But as Gabe was talking about earlier, that right or left front door is probably damaged beyond being able to be opened. So they can use the robot to go in and take out the glass, move everything out, and also give him a communication device where he can talk to the negotiator if it gets that far. But more than likely, this is going to be just the SEB folks coming up, containing the vehicle, and then using different apparatus, different equipment to knock out the windows, and then encourage the driver to either get out or give up. So at some point, they'll escalate as needed with the suspect's action. So if the suspect is seen to be armed, then that's going to take up to a different level. But if they don't see any weapons or anything of that sort, they'll continue to keep it at a level to where they're just trying to take him into custody. So right now, it's just a wait and see, to wait for those Bearcats to come in from East LA, and armed vehicles to come in from East LA, and then be able to surround this vehicle.
Tim, if not for the tinted windows, is a possibility this could be over by now, because they would have had a clearer view of what's going on inside the vehicle?
Oh, no doubt. If they'd have been able to get that left rear window out, more than likely one of those deputies would have started introducing pepper balls into the shot, just like those paintball guns that people use to have the little shooting games that they have. They'll use those to send in that pepper ball, and basically it's cayenne pepper, and it gets in there, and it's an irritant to the eyes and then to the nose and lungs, and make the person get out of the car. But yeah, if they could see into it, more than likely they may have gone in. But, as we always say, you never know what's going on with that suspect inside. We don't have all the information that the deputies have. What was the cause of that accident in front of the sheriff's station? Why did that all start? And they have all that information. Fortunately, we don't know at this point. So they're working off a bit more information that has been put out on the scanner over from the public information officer. So they're working off that. They're still working on probably identifying this subject if they don't already know who it is, and working it from a lower level and working up the ladder of escalation, as they call it. You don't want to jump to the very top and start doing things when you have the ability to do something at a lower level.
Well, one thing we know is right now time's on the side of law enforcement as they wait this one out and wait for more support. And again, this was a wild pursuit. Started in front of a sheriff's station in Chino. The red vehicle you see there, we're not even quite sure what kind of car it is, was involved in an accident. Like we said, right in front of a sheriff's station. The vehicle took off. Deputies were in pursuit. And as Tim said, the person behind that wheel is going to face several charges of assault with a deadly weapon, because he purposely would slam in the back of cars and try to squeeze between cars to try to get away. And this is one time where they tried to pit maneuver and almost pushed him into another lane. That would have been disastrous if it had a head-on with a car coming the other direction. But even earlier than that, we saw him purposely go into the far lane on the other side of the boulevard and then come up to a curb and work his way back over while cars are coming the other direction, and didn't even see him until the last second. And it's amazing that he didn't make any contact with any of those vehicles.
And at least 50 or 60 miles per hour at that point. He would have hit head on. And we don't know if he intentionally hit the deputy as well, because this is a deputy-involved accident in the beginning. After he had his first accident in front of the Chino's Sheriff's Department. But just incredible. We cover these pursuits oftentimes, and these drivers drive at excessive speeds and sometimes slow down at intersections, sometimes not. But typically when they get trapped, they wait for the light to turn green and have some hits and misses. But this guy just literally no regard for anyone, just plowing through, hitting at least anywhere up to 10 to 12 vehicles, and it came to an end here when he rear-ended this silver. It didn't even seem like a hard hit there, but I think he had hit so many other cars. That former police officer who texted in and said basically
probably shut the fuel pump down.
Shut it down so he can't keep going. Which had to be frustrating for him.
Is this the crazy part? This is when he went on the other side. I think this is when he went on the other side of the road. No, maybe not. This is a long straightaway, so it was probably.
Yeah, that's just after that, I think. Oh, I mean, I cannot believe how. And as you said, Glenn, those people were coming around a curve.
Yeah.
So it's almost if you were just driving and all of a sudden there's a car there, and if anyone had made a small shift in their driving, at least they stayed steady and they made him make the move, right?
Hey, maybe this is it, right? Yeah, this is it. Almost hits that.
Almost hits there.
I mean, look at this. He's in the far lane, and now he's going to come up to this curb, misses a car there, and just...
That's 4 cars that he missed.
Now, those cars would not have seen him until he was right on top of them. And it's amazing there was no contact.
And that's what's so dangerous about this. Gabe, you've been above this since the beginning, Gabe Santos and Sky 5. And we were saying that at the scene, which is normal, people are starting to show up to kind of look around. But hopefully some of the law enforcement officers there are able to get some of the looky-loos out of harm's way. You don't want to be too close to a situation when we don't know what's happening inside that car.
Right, right. We are hearing that sheriff's deputies are trying to clear off this sheriff's station. We were seeing, the Chevron station. We were seeing a lot of looky-loos begin to gather here and maybe get a little too close for comfort. Definitely more close than I would want to be to a situation like this. You see them putting up more yellow tape just to try and keep people away and keep people safe. A little bit of info regarding the two crashes that this suspect was involved in that kind of led to this pursuit. The first one, unknown if there were any, I don't know if anyone was hurt, was in front of the sheriff's station. That's what led to the pursuit to start. And then it seems like a deputy that was involved in the pursuit got into a crash while they were pursuing this suspect, but the pursuit suspect himself was not actually involved in that crash. He was able to continue on while the sheriff's deputy was, their vehicle was disabled in the crash and they had to stop, but the other sheriff's deputies were able to pick this up and continue chasing the suspect. Here now to the intersection of Diamond Bar Boulevard, just south of the 60 freeway, where a standoff pretty much is continuing now as we go past 4:30 here this afternoon.